Capital News tonight. Overflowing Lake Victoria wreaks havoc on road infrastructure in Geita and Mwanza. Tanzania receives 250 billion shillings from Barrick Gold Corporation. And in sports, SIMBA and YANGA Sports Club clash over Coastal Union defender Bakari Mwamnyeto. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. Passengers who use canoes to cross the road linking Buchosha, Geita and Singirema, which has become flooded by water from Lake Victoria, have complained on the 1,000 shilling fare charged for crossing a distance of 200 meters. Lack of reliable transport in the regions of Mwanza and Geita has been caused by rains which have destroyed road and bridge infrastructure.
It is true that once such problems occur, people tend to increase transport charges and even sabotage means of transport in any way possible so that they could earn money. Those who are responsible in ferrying people around here, the amount of money that you're charging for the service is not fair. Please go back to charges that you used to charge before, which was between 500 to 300 shillings. I announced that if they will continue charging such ridiculous prices, I will involve LATRA to come and set prices for you. This is unacceptable. You can't charge people 1,000 shillings to ferry them on a 200 meters distance. The government through TANROADS are still working on this matter. What we are waiting for is a permit to continue with the exercise of looking for an expert who is capable of handling mountain explosions, for us to get enough amount of stones that will be enough once the project begins. I urge people to remain calm. We believe that in a few days, the constructor will start his work.
The government of Tanzania has received 250 billion out of 750 billion shillings from Barrick Gold Corporation as part of an arrangement entered by the two parties during negotiations which started since July the 31st of 2017 and resulted in the creation of Twiga Minerals Corporation. The occasion was witnessed by several government leaders, including the Minister of Constitution and Legal Affairs, Mwigulu Nchemba, and Attorney General Ladislaus.
Hundi ya dola za Kimarekani milioni 100.
I have received today a check for $100 million equivalent to 250 billion Tanzanian shillings as initial payment of the $300 million On behalf of the government of Tanzania, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Barrick for their intent to working towards a better cooperation in the mineral sector in Tanzania, agreed by both sides for the benefit of both parties. It is our hope that both parties in this agreement will respect terms of the agreement and that they are fulfilled. I assure you that the government of Tanzania intends to fulfill terms of agreement.
Ni hatua muhimu sana katika sekta ya madini nchini, ikizingatiwa kuwa kampuni ya Barrick ni mdau muhimu sana katika sekta hii.
I am delighted to be able to, even though it's long distance, to celebrate another set of milestones in our safari to showcase a real partnership between state, capital and investors, and the host country communities.
The police force in Ruvuma region have arrested a resident from Temeke, Dar es Salaam, Said Hija, after being found in possession of 12 sachets of powdered narcotics at the Mkenda border between Tanzania and Mozambique. Ruvuma Police Commander ACP Simon Maigwa said the suspects had hidden the narcotics in the soles of shoes.
Katika kupekua kakuta mtuhumiwa.
We found 12 packets of drugs hidden inside shoes. The suspect claims to be presents for his relatives. On the day of the incident, the suspect went to visit the children, but there was a disagreement between the couple which led to the suspect stabbing the deceased. The suspect is under arrest and an investigation is going on.
Hizi ndio dawa za kulevya.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation has summoned the acting U.S. ambassador in the country, Dr. Envoy, to clarify on various issues, including reports on her social media account without government confirmation. The acting U.S. ambassador met and held talks with Ambassador Colonel Wilbert Ibuge, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation in Dar es Salaam, whereby Ambassador Ibuge expressed disappointment on how the U.S. Embassy has been releasing travel advisory reports on social media on how Tanzania is addressing the coronavirus pandemic. He said on the 13th of May 2020, on the Twitter account, the U.S. Embassy had issued an alert warning its citizens in the country and those expecting to visit Tanzania that Dar es Salaam is not safe because of the big number of coronavirus patients and that hospitals which were not mentioned are overcrowded with patients, which Ambassador Ibuge said the reports were false and can cause panic among Tanzanians. However, Ambassador Ibuge commended acting Ambassador Envoy for the cooperation between Tanzania and the U.S. in various sectors such as health, education, trade, investment, and defense and security. And the Parliament has urged the government to take harsh measures against all public institutions, including the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism, for misuse of billions of shillings, including the 1.8 billion shillings set aside for rail.
When you look at the expenditure and where it was spent, it is clear that there was no justification. There was some element of misuse of power during this period. There are still thieves in the public service. If you read the CAG report and compare it with the PSC report, and if you compare to the previous reports of the last 10 years, you will spot unethical business owners working with some public servants.
Mimi nasema uongo. Fuatilieni kwenye ripoti za miaka zaidi ya 10. Muangalie wapi wafanyabiashara wasio waadilifu.
And more than 1,500 residents of Majengo suburb in Kerenge Ward, Korogwe district, have asked the government to renovate their water dam, whose walls were swept away by rains that fell at the end of last month.
Bwawa hili lilijengwa toka mwaka 1950.
This dam was built since 1950 for colonialist projects. After independence, it was then used by residents for their own personal and economic activities, which is now a problem to us.
Baada ya kubomoka hili bwawa, tumekuwa na matatizo makubwa. Kulikuwa na kilimo cha umwagiliaji.
The dam broke since October last year. This dam was quite useful to many surrounding villages. In our village alone, we have about 1,700 people. You can imagine how much we are affected. We're still waiting for government efforts and directives regarding construction of the dam. As local council, we cannot do anything without upper authorities' approval. Of course, people are affected immensely.
Groups of elephants have invaded Nsongozi village in Vomera district, Mogor region, destroying over 700 acres of farmland, including maize, tomatoes, beans and millet, forcing farmers to sleep on top of trees as they try to protect their crops from being eaten by the elephants.
Farmers are working under difficult environment. People are now sleeping on trees at night so as to guard their farms. It is a problem, and we urge the government to do something about it. Right now, it looks like citizens are the ones taking care of wild animals, and no longer a responsibility of parks and wildlife organizations. I'm calling on President Magufuli to intervene in this matter. This year, not less than 700 acres of land have been destroyed by elephants.
Tuna hifadhi ya Mikumi wako hapo katikati.
We are surrounded with all wildlife authorities who are working in forests. So far, we have 9 incidences of crocodile accidents, with 5 among them have been eaten by the reptile and 4 of them were injured.
Hundreds of residents of Mwamnyeto ward in Gator region have volunteered to clear forest and begin construction of a health center so as to remove challenges experienced by expectant mothers, including traveling long distances to reach medical services.
People of Magogo are suffering a loss who are working forest. So far, we have cases of incidents at crocodile accidents. 5 with them have been among them by the etal, the reptile, and 4 of them were injured. This since built in 1950 colony for project independent after it was then used resident owned for the educational activity economic which is now problem up to us. I, together with my office, are together with you in accomplishing this target. Since you have started with your own efforts, I urge you to continue digging the foundation and collection of other materials like sand and stones. My office will provide you with building blocks and cement enough to start building the dispensary.
Kwa taarifa ambayo nataka niwaambie ni kwamba katika vijiji 474
out of 474 villages, 342 villages are on different stages of constructing dispensaries. We are glad to see that the plan of having a dispensary out of 400
ziko katika hatua tofauti ikiwemo na vingine vimeshamaliza.
That's all for the national news. International news is next. And in international news, the number of coronavirus infections in Kenya has risen to 1,348 after 62 more positive cases were announced on Tuesday. Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Rashid Aman said 2,293 samples have been tested in the last 24 hours and that the infections are from Nairobi, Mombasa, Kwale, Kiambu, Kajiado and Kitui counties.
Regarding the Langata cases, many of those cases actually come from the informal settlement in Kibera. And you know the challenges that you'll face in informal settlement. One is high population density, therefore making physical distancing a very tall order. Number 2, in terms of infection prevention control measures, availability of water and sanitation facilities is also compromised.
We have tested 2,293 samples, out of which 62 people have tested positive for COVID-19. Nairobi with 23, Mombasa with 16, Kwale 8, Kiambu 6, Kajiado 6, and Kitui 3.
And the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo has said that it has repatriated a Tanzanian driver who was found to be infected with the coronavirus. The driver is among more than 10 who had been allowed to enter the country after being held at the border for 1 day.
All the goods that he carried have been offloaded and delivered to its owner, without the driver moving off the bus. You have all witnessed the exercise, and the driver has just left back to his country without getting in contact with any person. What can I do? I didn't bring Corona to life. I am a human being just like you. I believe that I do not have coronavirus. Just put fuel for me to go back to my country. I am told not to leave the bus. I can't access any necessary human needs like latrine. I asked them to test me yesterday, but they refused. I'm not sick. I am physically fit and have been doing my job without any problem. If possible, they should escort me to Tanzania. Why are we Africans treating each other like this?
Mimi siumwi, mimi niko vizuri, naendesha truck yangu kama unavyoona.
Normal activities in Kampala city, Uganda have started to return after the government announced easing down of some restrictions which were imposed by the government due to the coronavirus pandemic. Some of the activities include opening of shops and use of private vehicles.
The merchandise shops shall have occupancy.
The merchandise shop shall have occupancy after ensuring social distancing, having a washing hands place and sanitizer facilities, with all its workers putting on facial masks, and one customer should be served at a time.
At a time.
That's all for international news. We'll be back with business news after this short break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and now in business news. Fish processing factories in Mwanza region who have started to export fish fillet via Rwanda Air and Ethiopia Airlines to Europe have called on the government to increase the cargo flights so as to meet the growing demand of the commodity in the market.
We commend the government for bringing this aircraft here. However, we are in need of frequent aircrafts so as to increase business.
Kila siku tonnage kwa maana ya kiwango cha mzigo kinazidi kuongezeka.
The amount of cargo increases every day, which makes it possible to negotiate the price because it is easier when the amount to be transported is bigger. I would like to commend Honorable Dr. John Pombe Magufuli for the excellent job he's doing. This has truly opened up more opportunities in Mwanza.
Kwa kazi kubwa anayoifanya.
Kilambera Sugar Factories urged the sugarcane farmers in Kilambera District, Morogoro region not to increase farms this year as they already have sufficient stocks to meet production targets. This comes after farmers increased sugarcane production in the last season.
We should continue with the amount of sugarcane. The law governing sugar requires us to register every farm producing sugarcane. A lot of farms are producing high yield, but the factory capacity is 600,000 tons, meaning a lot of the sugarcane is left unprocessed. We had expected this year to increase capacity, but there was a delay in the arrival of machinery. However, we have been promised that by next year this matter will be resolved.
Lakini wametuahidi kwamba kwa mwaka kesho ili zoezi linaanza likalimeisha.
The Region Commissioner of Mbeya, Albert Chalambile, said that more investments on Lake Nyasa shores in Kyela district will increase the number of tourists who visit the Southern Highland region, as well as contribute to the country's economic development.
The beach is perfect. not too deep, and is also sandy. As you know, the economy of Zanzibar is very much dependent on beach tourism. So if these two factors are incorporated, then we will stimulate the economy, and fishermen will benefit too, because there will be an increase in demand for fish.
And that's all for business news. We'll be back with sports in just a short while.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Position, Mwamnyeto, he did lose to Lind.
In sports, SIMBA Sports Club and Young Africans Sports Club have openly shown a keen interest to sign Coastal Union defender Mwamnyeto.
Played, there are 10 matches remaining to complete the Tanzania Mainland League, which will resume from June 1st. The Sudan international has not been on top form for the Wekundu wa Msimbazi this season, and eyebrows have been raised with his initial one-year contract sent to end. Shaibub has not been given enough time by coach Sven van der Broek, which is a challenge, an unnamed SIMBA official revealed. The Msimbazi-based side are top of the table with 71 points and need 5 wins to be crowned.
The following story is SIMBA Sports Club and Young African Sports Club openly showing keen interest to sign Coastal Union defender Mwamnyeto.
As confirmed, the two mainland Premier League giants are fighting for the service of the player, who has put up impressive performances this season. However, Kido has revealed the Coastal-based club will only let the player leave when they get the right transfer fee. Kido further confirmed it was SIMBA who came first for the signature of the player, but nothing was agreed upon.
Players and managers will at last be able to examine the Premier League's rules for a return to contact training on Tuesday, just 24 hours before they are put to a crucial vote. Here's the story.
Friday night, government advice was updated to allow elite sports to move to stage 2 of a return to play. The advice is broad, setting the parameters with which sports can operate. The crucial details on how precisely to minimize risk must be devised by governing bodies. The Premier League has been closely involved with the drafting of the government's policy and will now present its own protocols to the people who will be expected to enact them. The league hopes a successful week of training and just 8 positive results from 1,744 COVID-19 tests to date will make players and coaching staff confident in facing the challenges to come.
Chelsea have decided against using their buyback clause for Sassuolo's Jeremy Boga, despite the 23-year-old having emerged as one of the best young wingers in Serie A.
Instead, the club are negotiating with Sassuolo to include a sell-on clause for the Ivory Coast international, who is likely to be sold this summer. Boga came through the Chelsea youth system and made the step to the senior squad in 2015, but played only 18 minutes of competitive football for the first team against Burnley in the Premier League in December 2017. He had loan spells at Rennes, Granada and Birmingham before being sold to Sassuolo in the summer of 2018. In Italy, the former France youth international, who has won senior cap for Ivory Coast, has developed into a consistent and high-scoring attacking midfielder.
RB Leipzig striker Timo Werner would be a perfect addition for Liverpool, according to former Borussia Dortmund midfielder Paul Lambert. Here's more.
The Germany international attacker has long been linked with a summer switch to Anfield, with Jurgen Klopp apparently eager to add the versatility of the forward to his ranks. Lambert, who won the Champions League during his time in the Bundesliga, has been impressed by what he has seen of Werner and believes he will be a good fit for the Reds. The 24-year-old has tallied an impressive 24 goals from 27 Bundesliga matches so far this season and also added 7 assists.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to prepare this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Good night and stay safe.
You can